Hi, my name is Amanda Mouttaki from MoroccoMama.com, and I'm here today to talk to you about raising global citizens as a part of the Multicultural Kid Blog's Global Summit about the same topic. I'm going to discuss today a little bit about why travel is such an important part of raising global citizens. So to begin that, I'm going to give you a little background about me. 3 years ago, my husband and I decided to move our children from the United States to Marrakech, Morocco, where we currently reside. We had been together for 12 years and we'd lived in the United States, and our children were 6 and 8 at the time that we moved. And we made that decision based on two reasons. One was that we wanted to give them roots because his heritage is Moroccan, and we wanted them to know that aspect of their identity. And two, because we wanted to give them a more global outlook. A big part of raising kids for us has always been traveling, whether that was close to home or far from home or anything in between. And so it only made sense to us that we would at some point live overseas. The decision did not come easily, and I would say that for any family considering making such a big move, not to take it with haste, because there were a lot of considerations that came into play. But overall, we've seen only positive results from it, and we think that for other families, travel and living in another culture or living outside of the culture perhaps that your children are used to is a very positive thing. Some of the things that we've noticed our children have learned from traveling is that they have a lot more empathy for other people. They've seen how people live in other parts of the world, whether that's in very developed countries where kids seem to have everything, to less developed countries where they notice that children have much less, and adults as well. And so they've learned that money and things do not necessarily equate to the value of a person or how they should be treated or what the expectation should be. We've also noticed that they have gained a lot more patience. When you travel, of course, it makes sense that you need to have more patience. Things go wrong, things happen. If we're in France, for example, eating a meal, they know that dinner is not going to come out in 5 seconds like it might in the United States, that we're going to sit down and we're going to enjoy several courses, and it's going to take a longer spread of time. This also means that they've learned how to have conversations at the dinner table. They've learned the proper way to sit and eat and behave, which doesn't necessarily mean you have to travel to France or to a European country or to anywhere to learn how to do that. Those are things that you can learn at home just by replicating the experiences. So maybe if you can't travel internationally right now, you could bring the experience to home. Set up your house, set up your dinner table like a diner in a foreign country, make a menu or involve them in cooking a menu from another place. Set the table, light some candles, make it feel really special, make them feel like they're going somewhere else, and then encourage the conversation. Maybe you can talk about the place, or you could ask them to come up with some interesting facts ahead of time. It's a really easy way to introduce the world to children if you can't either afford to or you don't have the ability to travel in a specific period of time. A third thing that our kids have learned from traveling is languages. This was without saying. Fortunately, we do live now in a country where they speak 3 languages regularly, Arabic, French, and English. But because we're so close to Europe, we've also been to many European countries, Germany, Spain, Finland, and further beyond. So we have always encouraged our children to use the language skills that they have. So if we're in France, I always encourage them, please go use your French. Go and ask for something. Speak to the waiters in French. You can do it, make an effort to try. Maybe more importantly from this is that because they learn a foreign language at home, when they're out and we're traveling, we almost always run into somebody who speaks one of the languages they speak, even if we're in a non-English speaking country, which is obviously where most of the time, most people speak English when we travel, that we've noticed, more than French or Arabic. But for example, when we were in Italy, we didn't find anybody that spoke English in this specific circumstance, nor did we find someone that spoke French, but we found someone who spoke Arabic. And so it became very simple for our children to have a conversation, get help, be a part of the conversation, and see that their language skills really were valuable. So to us, language and travel skills go hand in hand with creating global citizens, if you will. And one final thing that we think is so important to raise children as global citizens is that it helps your kids see that there is a world beyond their own community. Things become much more real to them. When they hear someone talking about a place that may seem very far away for people who haven't traveled, they can say, but wait a minute, like, I hear that you're saying that, but I've been there, or I have a friend that's from this place, or I know that what you're saying is not how it actually is, and let me tell you about what my experience was in that place. And this might not seem so important now as young children, but as they get older and they become adults and they become the ones that are in positions of leadership and they're in positions of making business decisions, or they're just in positions as adults, as human beings and raising younger children, they are going to see the world as a much smaller place, and it's going to be much more difficult for them to point the finger and say, those people like that from there. It won't become that. It will become, hey, you know, those people that are my friends, and in this place where I went, and yeah, it was different, and yeah, they might think differently than us. They may have a different religion. They might speak a different language. They might eat different food, but I played with kids from there when I was a kid, or I went there with my parents and we stayed with this family, and they won't be able to create those really divisive statements and actions that we see all too often in society today. So if you're considering traveling with your kids, or you're on the fence about traveling with your kids, our advice is just do it. They'll thank you, and you'll thank yourself for it when you see the strong, confident, worldly children that grow up to be amazing adults.